She used to say it casually, almost proudly, that I relied on her for everything. Whenever friends were around, she would laugh and tell them I'd be lost without her guidance, her planning, her strength. I stayed quiet because part of me believed it too. She was confident, decisive, and always one step ahead, or so it seemed. At the start of our relationship, I admired that confidence. She handled finances, made big decisions, and spoke for both of us when things got uncomfortable. I told myself this was partnership, not control. Love, after all, often looks like trust when you're inside it. Over time, though, her words sharpened. "You wouldn't survive without me," she once said during an argument. It wasn't said with cruelty, but with certainty. That certainty began to weigh on me more than any insult could have. I started noticing how often she needed to remind herself of her importance. If I solved a problem on my own, she looked uneasy. If I disagreed, she'd accuse me of being ungrateful. Her strength depended on me believing I was weak. The turning point came when she made a decision without consulting me, one that affected both our lives deeply. She quit her stable job on impulse, convinced she could build something better overnight. "I'll handle it," she said. "You just follow." At first, I tried. I supported her emotionally, financially, quietly. But cracks appeared fast. Plans fell apart, money drained, and her confidence began to crumble. The same person who once claimed absolute control now looked to me for answers. That's when the blame shifted. She said I wasn't supportive enough, that my doubt caused her failure. The irony was painful. For years, she insisted I depended on her. Now, she couldn't stand without leaning on me. I didn't argue. I didn't remind her of her old words. I simply started making choices for myself, small ones at first. I took responsibility where I could, rebuilt my confidence, and stopped shrinking to make her feel taller. As I grew steadier, she grew more unstable. My independence threatened the image she had built of herself. The roles we played no longer fit, and she didn't know how to exist without being needed. Eventually, she admitted she was scared. Not of failure, but of being ordinary, of realizing her stability had always depended on someone else, believing in her strength. That belief had been me. We didn't end things in anger. We ended them in clarity. Two people finally seeing each other without illusions. I walked away stronger than I'd ever been. She walked away forced to face herself. And for the first time, the stability she lost wasn't because of me, but because of a single decision she made alone. Our eyes met, and the music seemed to fade. I saw confusion first, then hurt, and finally a deep disappointment that cut sharper than any shout could have. I wanted to walk toward him, to explain, but my legs wouldn't move. I had never felt so exposed. Memories rushed through my mind, shared breakfasts, quiet arguments, promises made late at night. I wondered how long he had known, how long he had suspected. Maybe this party wasn't as secret as I thought. Maybe I wasn't either. He turned away before I could speak, disappearing into the crowd with a calm that terrified me. I followed him outside, the cool air hitting my face like punishment. He stood under a streetlight, looking older, somehow heavier. "I didn't think you were capable of this," he said quietly. No yelling, no accusations. Just honesty. I tried to explain how lonely I'd felt, how invisible, but the words sounded weak even to me. He listened, nodding slowly, then shook his head. "Loneliness doesn't excuse betrayal," he said. That sentence settled between us, solid and final. I realized then that being seen wasn't the same as being understood. We went home separately that night. The silence in the house was louder than any argument we'd ever had. I lay awake, replaying every moment, wishing I had chosen differently, wishing curiosity hadn't outweighed respect. In the days that followed, we talked more honestly than we ever had before. Some truths hurt, others healed, but nothing was easy. Trust, once cracked, doesn't simply return. That secret party taught me a lesson I never wanted to learn. Some doors, once opened, change everything. And sometimes, the person watching you isn't a stranger at all but the one you promised never to hurt.